Hello and welcome to Psychology Live. I'm Dr. Gail Majcher and with me is Mary DiPaolo, limited licensed psychologist. We are so glad that you're joining us. We have taken a break for a while and now we're back.
Happy New Year, 2020.
2020, it's a big deal, big decade.
Yes.
I've often had people say to me through the years, so what are your plans in 5 years? What's your plans in 10 years? I never know, because for me it's like I don't know where God's going to take me, because I've had so many interesting experiences drop in my lap that there's no way that I can project. However, there are some things that we can choose to do no matter what experiences we have, like eating healthy, exercising. We all know about that, right?
Going to the doctor and to the dentist instead of avoiding that like the plague. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Dysfunction interrupted. How to interrupt your dysfunctional coping methods and styles of coping that have been working more against you than for you in the past.
And this is really the perfect time to be talking about it, because a lot of people are dealing with issues from the holidays. You know, post-holiday stress is very real and there's lots of family issues. So people are coming in very stressed out. My caseload always goes way up in January and February because all of this is going on. So we talk with our clients all the time about coping techniques. The thing about coping techniques is we develop them when we're children. In childhood, some technique, say lying, worked really well in this crazy home where you grew up and it was a way to survive. So you move into adulthood, it doesn't work.
Right. Sleeping is another one. Have you ever been in a store? I've had this happen. The kid is dead to the world, a baby, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and the parents are yelling and sniping and screaming at each other and the other kids. And that kid, the baby, figured out how to cope. Just go to sleep and then you don't have to deal with any of it.
Yeah. So in adulthood, that would not work. Okay, so those are kind of extremes, but we want to talk about many different ways that people cope, but it doesn't work well. So therefore, it's dysfunctional coping. So that's what we're talking about today. Next show, we will be talking about functional ways of coping.
Exactly.
So let's start off with one. Many times when people find themselves in a difficult situation, they develop all or none thinking. This person did this to me, and they're either all bad or they're all good. There's no in between. And when they're viewing the person as all bad, they're spinning out in their minds. They're spinning out, and they're thinking, and they're going off on tangents in their head about why this person is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, think of how much time and energy that robs you of. Think of all the mental energy, all the emotional anguish you go through up in your head as you're building a case against somebody.
Right. And for many people who struggle with this problem of what we call that all or nothing, always, never, or black and white thinking, the real problem underlying this is they can't control reality, and yet they really want to, and they want to control people's responses to them and reactions to them. So in its weird way, although it makes perfect sense when you think about it, they're trying to manage even what other people say to them so that they feel good about themselves given whatever's said to them. So if I say to you, hey, let's go to lunch, and you say, well, I can't go to lunch today because I'm busy, and it's like, what do you mean? I want to go to lunch. And before you know it, it's like, you blah, 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 because I want to go to lunch today. What's your problem? Like, you're my friend. Why don't we go to lunch? What the hell's wrong with you?
Therefore, I must be all bad.
Right.
And that person then will go off on a long tangent in their head about why that person is bad. Here's the problem with that. Well, so many problems with that. But one, we don't have control over what other people do.
Right.
We cannot manipulate other people. And if we manage to manipulate other people to perform the behavior we want them to, it's not a good scenario.
No.
That other person is not feeling good about you if you did the manipulating to try to get them to be who you created up in your head. Wow, just think of all that mental energy.
Oh, and you know, thinking back to teenage years, I remember these scenarios because it's very common for girls to go through this. I don't like Sue. Why'd you say hello to her when you ran into her? You know that I don't like her.
Women still do that.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. Okay, it's ridiculous. But yet that's ridiculous. In this genre of all or nothing thinking. If
Yes.
I hate her, you better
Yes.
hate her because you're my friend and you better hate her like I hate her. Are
Yes.
you freaking kidding me? But yet, it's part of that reality.
Okay, so if you're a person and you find yourself thinking about someone as all bad, all bad, all bad, and you're creating the scenario in your head, you can stop it. You can choose to stop going off on that tangent. You can choose to think, oh, wait a minute, nobody's all good or all bad. Well, there might be some extremes, but the majority of people are not all good or all bad. Maybe that person's doing something you don't care for, but it doesn't mean that they're all bad.
Right.
So slow it down in your own mind.
Now, I'm going to talk about a dysfunctional coping method, although there are several, but they fall under this umbrella of like adding to your own poop show by doing things that just exacerbate your stress instead of really helping to reduce it. You start watching the horror movies on Netflix. You start watching true crime shows like Snapped or anything on Discovery ID channel. You call that person from your past who is the biggest whatever, negative and dysfunctional that you know and go, hey, want to go to lunch? You, in other words, invite more garbage to your doorstep by what you're doing instead of actually working to reduce your stress. Now, the logic behind this is, well, if I read something or watch something or get involved with somebody that's in a worse mess than I am, I'll feel better about myself. No.
That just doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't. Well, I almost talked about a positive coping, but we'll wait till the next time.
That's right.
You know, things like that just don't work. And then there's the obvious things like overeating, eating too many sweets, trying to nurture yourself. Doesn't work.
Right, right. You know, last night I watched the documentary on Iggy Pop, and Iggy's father was my English teacher in high school. Yeah. And, you know, God rest his soul, Mr. Osterberg, because, you know, he was a very straight up, you could tell, military guy, you know, very rigid. Very straight. Well, Iggy, he's highly intelligent. I mean, this documentary was fascinating. And as he's talking, you know, I was thinking to myself, I wonder why people like always talk smack about Iggy, like he was some kind of idiot and he was so bad and blah, blah, blah. Well, I forgot about all of his antics when he was doing his thing in the late 60s, early 70s. And then after the show was over, and I thought, man, a very intelligent guy is able to understand why he thought this way, did this, did that. But then I go online and I start reading about what he would do on stage, and I'm like, whoa, because they were highly offensive behaviors. Well, knowing that Iggy was involved in drugs and God knows what else, it doesn't surprise me that he did things that he might not have otherwise done had he been sober. But it's just fascinating how here is a 72-year-old man, you know, being presented in this documentary. It seems like he came back to his baseline of, okay, you know, trying to be the best Iggy he can be, you know, given
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And he's a good-looking guy. I mean, I never thought I would say that, but I'm like, damn, Iggy looks pretty damn good.
So one of the points you brought up is really important. What a lot of people do, and it just doesn't work, and people use it all the time, are drugs and alcohol.
Right.
Well, I'll just have a drink. I'll just have a glass of wine. Oh, I was so upset last night I had a bottle of wine. No, that doesn't work.
Doesn't.
Or you know how it is. Yeah, I'll hear stories in therapy. So then, you know, I had like a half bottle of wine. That doesn't help.
Right, and you can't conveniently forget what you did and then say, well, because I conveniently forgot it, it didn't happen. Yes, it happened. And oh, by the way, conveniently forgetting or dissociating is a dysfunctional coping method. I don't remember that. I didn't do that. I didn't say that. It's like, really, because now you're gaslighting the person who's reminding you that, yes, you did do that. And it doesn't work. You can't gaslight your way through your dysfunction and therefore never work on it and be a better you.
Well, the denial is really prevalent. I didn't do that. I didn't say that. Well, you know what? If you did and you're lying about it and going into denial, that is not a good space for you to be in internally. It's not a good coping technique. It might get you out of the jam right then in the moment, but then you have to carry that with you.
And you're eroding away at your character. May not be in the best shape anyway, but this kind of stuff makes it worse.
Well, we are created to be people of integrity and, you know, good truth. good mental health is being based in reality and in truth.
And living in the present. And we have to stop. So on that note, next time stay with us and we'll talk about functional coping.
That's right. Thanks
Bye-bye.
for watching. Bye-bye.